Hello and welcome. Today we will discuss Can't Pay, Won't Pay. This is a play by Dario Fo. So, Can't Pay, Won't Pay is an Italian play. It was the original title is Non si paga, non si paga. It was produced in 1974. The historical event around is that it was based on something called Hot Autumn, which is a working class rebellion against price rise. And the rent at this time was had risen from 9% to 21%, and this had led to a movement called auto-riduzione, which actually means auto reduction. This was a massive protest where people would just not be able to pay the high prices due to inflation, and they would themselves pay whatever they could for emergency and important items that they had to buy. So there were massive protests also, for instance, in rubber factories, and against the bad pay conditions. Another company, Fiat, had laid off 7,000 employees for quote unquote insubordination. 1970s was the time when the rate of inflation in Italy had been the highest, and amidst all this, the government, since it could not curb the situation for people, they just simply asked people to comply with them and resort to austerity, which was clearly a problem for many people. So let me just discuss the plot of this play. It is based on autorizazione, as I told you, and we also know that Dario Fo's plays are many a times based on real life events and real life historical events at that. So this play is also based on this historical event, but the setting is completely inside a home. So Giovanni and Antonia are husband and wife, and their neighbors Margherita and Luigi are also very well known to them. In fact, Luigi and Giovanni actually work in the same factory. The plot covers the events of the day when women revolt at a supermarket and get to home with anything that they can take from the supermarket without paying. And this is a reference to autoridazione. The women, however, know that their husbands, especially Antonia's husband Giovanni, does not approve of any defiance of government's laws. Antonia therefore makes Margarita carry everything home, hiding these food items in the clothes. But when Giovanni sees this Margarita with something hidden behind her coat, he asks questions of his wife, and she just cooks up the story saying that Margarita has been covering up her pregnancy for some time, and this particular lie starts off a series of lies which leads to very hilarious consequences. And these lies actually become exceedingly outlandish. These involved dog food, frozen bird heads, bird seed soup, premature baby transplants, caskets, and a lot of other things. So these women keep cooking up lie after lie after lie, and the situation keeps becoming more and more humorous. But the men seem to be very naive, and they keep believing in all the random stories that women go on fabricating. At one point, they also pretend that Margarita has already gone into labor and that she has to be taken in an ambulance. So the women actually leave the house and they just leave the men behind. This is a small picture of the enactment of this play. This is actually quite a hilarious, funny play, and it was popular play, and it was also produced in many countries. Even though it is hilarious, it also is very relevant, and many countries felt that the point that is being made by Dario Fo in this play does make sense to their situations as well. Anyway, coming back to the plot of the play, Antonia doesn't see so much wrong with what she has done, since the prices are so high that she doesn't even have enough money to pay for anything. Despite the fact that Giovanni has a job, still they are unable to pay for the rent, for the gas, or even the electricity bill. So again and again the power keeps going away, which leads to even more hilarious situations. But even though all this is happening, all of the confusion is going on, Fo makes it a point to show his audiences the absurdity of the situation. He asks us the question, why does the common man and an honest working class man bear the brunt of the corruption of the falling state, which cannot even manage its economy and the high rising prices? Dario Fo makes Giovanni the actual target of his satire. The audience laughs at the stupidity of these law-abiding men who simply don't understand that as citizens one has the right, and one has in fact the duty to ask the right questions from the government. The other issue in this, which is pointed out by Fo in through this play, is the separation of productive labor from reproductive labor. Productive labor here is the men, and reproductive labor is clearly the women. And the men simply had no idea of the commonsensical issues, like how the home is being run by women. And so there's a complete distinction between what is productive labor and what is reproductive labor. And also the fact that women are not being paid. For anything that they do, and they have to just make do with whatever less income that they have. That is this is also a disconnect between men and women, which is highlighted in this play. um, and the men are so disconnected by reality, so disconnected with reality, that they even don't know how babies are born. They keep getting fooled over silly things. Eventually, however, the men do realize this when they get to know that they are themselves laid off from their work for no fault of their own. And Giovanni is finally made to re examine his ideas, and fight back against the moralizing policy of the government, which simply insists that people should make sacrifices. Now, this was the plot of the play. Now, the play heavily relies on dialogue, action, but we also see that the play is not very plot heavy. It is very, very heavy on dialogue. Nothing much is happening. The women keep cooking up stories. They keep joking. There's also a sequence of songs in the play. So the plot doesn't move very, very far ahead. And like many other plays of Dario Fo, this play also uses exaggerated comic situations and very, very cute humor. There is deliberate obscurity, absurdity, buffoonery, and body jokes. Giovanni's empty idealism, however, is mocked, and the wives are projected as being intelligent and also quite street smart. So there is this one point where Antonia mentions a women's cooperative where she had been a part of, and it was doing extremely well until the government stepped in and tried to regularize them and to put checks and balances on their work, and this completely led to the cooperative falling apart. So this is another instance where the government just intervenes without making any productive addition to whatever the economy is doing. The play therefore has various different elements. It has the elements of songs. In fact, it ends on a song. And just like the other play of Dario for Accidental Death of an Anarchist, in this play as well, we see the technique that the same actor is playing different roles and he comes again and again, which is to confuse not only the audience members but also the characters in the play. So Giovanni gets confused with one character, with one time this actor coming as a sergeant and another time coming as a police officer. So again and again, it's difficult for the audience to forget that they're indeed watching a play, and the situation that is happening to the characters in the play is actually a real crisis. So I've spoken about this in the video about Dario Fo, that he uses this alienation effect, that he does not want to let the audience believe that this is reality. He wants to keep this thread, this link live, that the people know that they are actually watching a play. So there is also constantly throwing off the fourth wall and confusing the audiences, that the play is really being enacted, but the situation that these people are in is actually the same situation that the audience is in. And through this play, Fo wants to drive home the fact that if normal forms of protest like strikes do not work, then the public should be able to do this kind of disobedience, so that mass exploitation of people is completely prevented. So this is a very short analysis of the plot and the play. Fo allowed easy adaptations of his play, so this was reenacted several times in many other countries, and the title "Can't Pay, Won't Pay" actually came about in one such reenactment. And finally, this play is also popular for the sheer comedy that it creates and the laughter that it brings. So this was a very short introduction to Can't Pay, Won't Pay. This is a very funny play. Please read the play, watch enactments of this play, and if you like videos, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.